Are you getting stuck in negative thought cycles? You're not alone. We all have negative emotions from time to time, and it is so easy to get caught up in these loops of negative thoughts and feelings, but there are ways that we can address them. Become aware that you are even having these type of negative thoughts of lack, scarcity, or victim mindset, or whatever it could be. For example, you're all or nothing thinking. This type of thinking prevents us from seeing the situation as it is. If you're always thinking about something as always or never, this can makes us believe that things cannot change over time, or it makes it seem as if we can predict the future. And this gets us stuck in one of the two extremes, which are both uncomfortable and unrealistic. Be aware of your triggers. What precedes a negative thinking spiral? By knowing your triggers, you're more likely to notice when you're getting wrapped up in negative thinking, and you're more likely to pull away from that trigger whenever you encounter it. And instead of using words like never, everybody, nothing, try to use softer words like sometimes, some people, often, because this gives you hope that things can work out for you. There are many things that you can do to start addressing getting caught up in a negative cycle. But I believe that one of the first things you should do is to shift your focus or change your environment. For example, whenever I catch myself having repetitive negative thoughts, and if I find myself indoors, I try to go outside and get some fresh air, go for a walk or hit the gym. And all of this helps me to get the stress out. Or I meet up with a friend and we talk about something nice, something positive. Or engage in some activity that helps you to distract yourself from these pessimistic thoughts. Play some good music on. Start to dance. Remind yourself of a good event, of a good memory. Find a way to detach yourself from your negative thinking. Because what this does is it helps you to get a new perspective. And whenever you get back to these negative thoughts, things will look brighter, trust me. Set a time limit and a specific time of the day when you're allowed to have negative thoughts. And during that time, you can have as many negative thoughts as you like. But when I say set a time limit, I don't mean 2 hours. You should set no more than 10 minutes when you can be as negative as you like. But if you catch yourself having negative thoughts outside of this negative thinking time, you need to write your thoughts down and burn the paper or throw it in the garbage. And over time, you'll notice that a couple of things will happen. You'll start having more control over your thoughts. Your negative thoughts won't be relevant to think about during that negative thinking time, because that negative thinking spiral will wane off. This is a very good way to let go of these negative thoughts that are holding you back. If you realize that the thought you're having isn't beneficial, try to reframe it. Try to see the situation from a different perspective. Try to find something positive in it. The thing is that we can't really stop our negative thinking, but instead, we can try to replace and reframe our negative thoughts. So instead of thinking I have failed, try to reframe it as there is something in what I do that doesn't work, and if I find it out, I have more chances to succeed. How does this sound? When you're reframing your negative thoughts, keep your goals in mind. What are you actually trying to achieve? And also find things that you enjoy and appreciate and are grateful for. And if you find it extremely challenging to reframe your thoughts, imagine yourself as a loved one. What would your best friend tell you when you express that negative thought? I'm sure that they'll try to encourage you, and they'll tell you that things are not as bad as you think and that you have what it takes to improve that situation. The thing is that in most cases we are so much kinder to other people than we are kind to ourselves. And it's about time to change this. Be kind to yourself, darling. Think about how would you say this to a loved one. Do you like the way you talk to yourself? Would you say the same thing to your spouse? And if not, reframe it. When we expect things to turn out in a specific way but they don't, we tend to think negatively. For example, if the person you're in love with has feelings for somebody else, you start imagining the worst case scenario and you enter into a negative loop. Or if a friend disappoints you and you felt betrayed and hurt, you start thinking that everybody just uses you and nobody really cares for you. Or if the business you started failed, although you did your best and you are hoping that things will develop well, you become pessimistic and enter in that vicious cycle of negative thoughts. You see, setting high standards can lead to discouragement, and that can result in negative thinking and feelings of failure. Be especially mindful for setting yourself expectations for something that you cannot control or predict. Life is changing. We are constantly changing. And if a situation doesn't turn out the way you hoped it would, it does not mean that there was no good reason for it. Sometimes rejection is God's protection. Remember that. And it is one thing to think realistically and a totally another thing to think pessimistically. Choose to be a realist who is willing to find solutions rather than a pessimist who always focuses on the negative outcomes. I'm telling you this because I used to be an extreme pessimist at some point in my life, and that was just holding me back. That prevented me from succeeding in many areas of my life. And trust me, nothing good comes out of focusing all the time on the negative things, on the things that are going wrong in your life. Shift that focus. Find something positive to pay attention to, because I'm sure there are many positive things in your life that you are just disregarding right now because you're so focused on that negative thing that you don't see anything outside of it. Let yourself to let go of these negative thoughts, of these destructive thoughts, because they're not doing you any good, darling. And I know how difficult it can be. I know that it can feel impossible to exit a negative cycle, but it is not. I can assure you that it is not. There's always a way out. If you look for it, you will find it. If you notice yourself getting stressed, anxious, or in a low mood, or that you start engaging in negative thoughts, pause and take a breath. Acknowledge that you are having these negative thoughts and focus on the emotions you're feeling and where do you feel them in your body. Switch the focus to the experiences you have in your body. Stop the thinking, and this will really help you to get grounded and calm yourself down. Sometimes I worry a lot, and whenever we worry, we usually imagine the worst case scenarios. And when I find myself in these type of moments, I always ask this question: what if everything works out? And what this does is it interrupts the negative thought cycle and it helps you to see a new perspective. In a sense, it breaks that negative loop because your brain stops concentrating on the worst case scenario and it introduces a new perspective. So what if everything works out? Based on research, 94% of the time, the worst case scenarios that we have in our heads never happen. So what if everything works out? How about you focus on that? You can end the negative cycle you're in today if you decide to. Remember, darling, you've got the power to control your thinking. You've got the power to get out of that miserable mode that you have been for a while. I know that when you get caught up in a negative cycle, it's very hard to get out, and sometimes it may seem impossible. But I can assure you that it is not. There is always a way out if you look for it. Allow yourself to look for answers. Allow yourself to look for solutions. The negative thoughts you're having are just thoughts. They are not your reality. But if you keep on focusing on them, they might become your reality. But you have the power to change your thoughts into something more positive, to change your reality into something better. So choose your thoughts and define your reality. You can do it, and I believe in you. If you find it hard to detach, to focus on you, to believe in yourself, if you tend to feel sorry for yourself, check out my other videos. I'm sure they can be helpful. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!